Good morning, everybody! Welcome to another edition of Jake and Justin in the morning. Hope you all are doing well. Our guest with us today is another member of the Sports Media Club, Dominic Sedicino. Dom, how are you?
Oh, well, thank you, Jake, Justin. Thank you for having me. Excited to finally be asked to be on this show. I feel like everybody else has gone on it except me. I know I've
Yeah,
been
you've had Will, you've had Rob, you've had Corey, yeah.
I know. I hear you guys have a lot of fun, so I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
We're gonna have a great. It's a great time.
All right, Dom, what'd you have for Breck?
What's that?
What'd you have for Breck?
What I have for Breck? Like breakfast?
Yeah, I put a definition in the Urban Dictionary. Spelled B-E-R-K, Breck. I said it's an abbreviation for breakfast because I was a little bit jealous of you New Yorkers having the term Bev.
Well, I'm from New Jersey.
Oh, that's right. You're from New Jersey. That's right.
I'm from New Jersey.
Yeah, that's right. You're from Jersey. So pretty much Breck is our breakfast slang that I made up in the Urban Dictionary.
Oh, wow. Well, okay. I had waffles for breakfast this morning. They were from 63's. Absolutely delicious out of that waffle maker. So my Breck was outstanding this morning.
I actually have never had the waffles from the waffle maker.
It's delightful. You got to try it.
Yeah. Now I feel like I'm missing out because everybody's got them, and I feel like I'm missing out on something amazing now.
Definitely get over there and try them out. They are stupendous.
All right. Well, I guess what I had for breakfast was a bit of despair from watching the Jets lose again without Mike White because he just had to hurt his forearm, didn't he?
I was very surprised that he came out of the game. Very surprised. And the fact that he's playing this week is even more interesting, that he must have really had a dead arm, because when he's getting that opportunity, I would think you'd want to gut it out. I mean, he's basically got all of Jets fandom behind him. And he was playing well up until that point. I was really surprised. And then, you know what? Josh Johnson came in and he played pretty well too. So, I mean, there's definitely some pressure on Zach Wilson now with these guys thriving in this system. There's pressure on him to step up and for him to thrive.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And for me, for Breck, I had a bagel and cream cheese and multigrain Cheerios.
Bagel and cream cheese. Now, usually I'll go bagel and butter, but I respect the bagel and cream cheese. Toasted bagel?
Yes, lightly toasted.
Wait a second. Hold up a second. Jake, the toaster works?
Yeah.
Wait, the toaster works? I've been trying to use that thing for weeks, and it never works for me. Bro, in what universe has the toaster worked? Are you sure you didn't microwave it? Are you sure?
All right. I microwaved it first, but I toasted too. A toaster works, dude.
Okay. Since when? I literally spent 10 minutes one day trying to use the toaster for a bagel, and it wouldn't work.
So the one day you fool around with the outlet, you fixed it.
That's too funny. That's too fun. That's funny, man.
10 out of 10. I hate to see it. Anyway, we got a great show for you guys today. Let's first start off with a story from esports, to where this one is very, very close to me, I would say, as a major esports fan, especially in the Sports Media Club community. The Overwatch League player Kyungbo Kim, better known as Alarm, has passed away at the age of 20 years old. Now, for people that didn't know who this guy was, he was without a doubt a star player. He really was. You could see out of the gate in his rookie season last year that this guy was something special. And here's the thing, and whenever I'd watch him play against my teams, I would be, annoyed because this guy's so good and he's kicking my team's ass and we're losing because this guy just cannot be beat. And the thing is, I could go on to say, I could go on to make these, terrible jokes of, well, now that he's gone, now my teams can win, but that's not it anymore. This guy's gone, and it's unfortunate because, the team that he played for, the Philadelphia Fusion, they asked for privacy. His family asked for privacy. His death was unexpected. I'll put it to you that way. And like I said, he was a rookie of the year. He was an MVP candidate. He was just an all-around great player. And it really is a shame to see him go, especially at such a young age of 20 years old.
Well, I'll put it to you, Justin. I mean, I'm not a crazy into esports. I don't know much about it, but this definitely gives me shades of Sean Taylor, deaths like that. I know deaths that hit home for me. Even going back to I was a little bit young, but Steve McNair. These are guys. These are very public figures in their sport. They're very important figures, and when you lose somebody like that, I mean, there's not even words that you could put to it. So, I mean, my condolences out to his family. I mean, it's absolutely horrible. And the esports world lost one of their biggest stars. Another one, Dale Earnhardt. It's a tragic thing that it happens too often, honestly, because we do lose people. I mean, Kobe Bryant, he wasn't playing anymore, but same thing. So my condolences out to their family. It's terrible.
Yeah, very, very, very unfortunate story. He's 20 years old. You think about it, believe we're all sophomores. He's a year older than us. Like, just crazy to think about. 1 year older than us, and he's no longer with us. So, like you guys said, condolences to his family. Some deaths that like you said, Don, these deaths happen. It seems far too often. Jose Fernandez is another one, starting pitcher from the Marlins, kind of similar situation. I really liked him. The guy was a stud. He was all-star in the making. He already made an all-star appearance. I wasn't the biggest fan in the world because he was on the Marlins, and whenever he pitched against the Mets, he would go 7 shutout innings. Then all of a sudden, I hear he dies in a boat crash. And it's like, all right, he's not going to pitch against the Mets anymore, but I liked watching him pitch. Like, he was so good. And it was, this is like at the very start when we had all these Cuban guys coming to MLB, Cespedes before he fell off, Fernandez, and now there's a bunch of them. So unfortunately this does happen in sports, and it's a shame, and may he rest in peace.
Yeah. Before we move on to the next topic, I just want to say this. First of all, rest in peace, Alarm, without a doubt. But also a lot of people in the Overwatch League community have made a petition which to name the Rookie of the Year award after him, because he is probably one of the greatest rookies to ever come out of the gate in the league. And I would definitely agree with it. And if anyone who's listening to this and is a fan of the Overwatch League, I would recommend you sign that petition as well, because this guy's name should never be forgotten in the books of esports and in just, the Overwatch League community as a whole. Yeah. So rest in peace, Alarm, and his family, and major condolences to his family, please. Anyway, let's now move on to some more lighthearted topics.
Yeah, hard right turn here. Hard right turn into baseball.
Yeah, hard right turn to the baseball. Speaking of turns, or should I say bases, that we're about to move to, Dom. So in the wild card, your third base coach basically threw the game by making Aaron Judge run to home on third base. Now it looks like Luis Rojas is becoming the Yankees' third base coach. So Dom, what do you feel about that one?
All right. First of all, Phil Nevin was a very aggressive third base coach. That was always something that I liked about him in his time here with the Yankees. He was here just as long as Boone, one of Aaron Boone's best friends, confidant. Not only do I think the Yankees had an issue with his aggressiveness, but he was pushed out also because he would push back on the analytics. And anybody who knows anything about the Yankees, they're all about their home runs. They're all about, unfortunately, their strikeouts, and they're all about their walks. And Phil Nevin was a guy that was pushing back on that. So the Yankees needed a scapegoat. This was a disappointing year going out in the wild card game, a wild card game that in the beginning of the year, they didn't even expect to be playing in. So there was a scapegoat needed. It was Phil Nevin, the third base coach, and it was hitting coach Marcus Timms. Gone, out. So obviously these guys need to be replaced. I see a lot of people killing this Luis Rojas hire, which is something I really don't understand. This guy is respected in baseball circles as much of a Mets disaster, as much of a disaster as the Mets are, and Luis Rojas was at the center of that. He was the manager. Some guys just aren't cut out to be managers, but he's well respected. He's a great coach. And if he can come in and with his knowledge make this team better, I don't think just because he failed as a Mets manager means he shouldn't get a shot as a coach somewhere, because I think this could be a good hire for them. And he's also on board with the analytics. He'll be in lockstep with Boone in the front office. So, I mean, it's a hire that makes sense to me.
I was very surprised just because, just the Mets and the Yankees, there's not that much connection. Like, they're very trade. Like, it's very rare you see a guy who was just on the Mets and the Yankees and go directly to the other New York team, which is why I was so surprised way back when the Mets signed Curtis Granderson, because he was a star of the Yankees, and all of a sudden, he signs a big deal to go to the Mets. He is a very well-respected guy. He's he's a very player-friendly guy. He is very analytically based. I think that's really a reason that he did not work in New York. He was just too analytically based. The Mets, I think a manager for that team need a little more of an older school guy. I think that's a big reason why it just didn't work out. But he's been in baseball for a very long time. He was a manager in the Mets minor system for 14 years. He actually coached most of the players on the team. He actually managed in the minor league. That's why once they fired Beltran, their hands were kind of tied. They didn't really have access to like the top Dusty Baker type candidates that were still out there, because he thought 3 weeks until spring training, and then COVID ended up happening. So they kind of like, all right, we pretty much have to get someone from our own organization. Like, why not get the guy that has the most experience? Their hands were kind of tied there. Interesting move, like you said, he's very in on analytics, which the Yankees are. They're a very analytically based team for sure. Not everyone's been able to be a manager in major leagues. Doesn't look like Rojas is. I mean, he's still very young. Could he get another shot? Maybe. Only time will tell. Interesting move. I don't think it's just because he's a bad manager, he'll be a bad third base coach. Gonna have to wait and see. But it was a very interesting move. I didn't love it just because in New York, you got to be tough in New York. You got to be tough to coach in New York. And another big reason, Rojas, it's fine to be a player's coach, but he was too player friendly, okay? He was too player friendly, and I think the Yankees need someone a little tough too. That's why I was very against them keeping Aaron Boone in the first place. I think Aaron was a little too soft for this team, and Rojas is kind of the same way. I mean, he'll fit with Aaron Boone, but the problem is, if you ask me, Aaron Boone's the problem. So for that reason, I didn't like it, but I don't think, just because he's a bad manager, he'll be a bad coach. So we shall see.
And again, I hate to pile on. Justin, are you a Mets fan too?
No, I mean, you're saying I'm a baseball viewer. I'm not as avid as, you two. However, I do like to watch the Yankees. I like to watch whatever New York team is playing from time to time. I also watch the World Series, so that I definitely know. I will definitely say, though, that I'll just say this right now because we are talking about it. Jake, the Luis Rojas experiment didn't work. So that's my only reason why I'm a little bit shaky of him being the third base coach for this one, because I know they're two completely different positions, but he wasn't that great as a manager. I'm not sure how great he's going to be calling a player to run to home again on third base.
Also, I gotta say, I think it's a Met thing. Like, I don't mean to pile on the Mets, I really don't. But like, this guy, 14 years as a manager in the Met system, had a sparkling record. There was not a blemish with this guy. He was the surefire, absolute hire. When I didn't even mean to rhyme there, but I did. He was the right hire once Carlos Beltran had to be let go. And all of a sudden, after 2 years, I mean, you're kicking him to the curb, and it's his fault. I really think it's a Mets thing up there at the big club. They have a lot deeper issues rooted than just who their manager is, and they might be bringing back Carlos Beltran. Maybe that starts to fix some of the issues they have. I didn't want Phil Nevin fired, but obviously I can't change that. Luis Rojas isn't a horrible second option for me.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more issues than Rojas. There's chemistry issues.
You muted, Jake.
I apologize, I was muted. Yeah, what I was saying is there's a lot of issues in New York. Rojas, I think, was definitely a main one, but we're gonna get into there's a lot of issues at the top in Queens right now. We're gonna get into that. There was, I think there was some issues in the clubhouse. You had McNeil and Lindor, the rat versus the raccoon. Supposedly, Lindor, I forgot who like grabbed who, but one of them grabbed the other one by the neck. That's what actually happened. So there was that. That was in the beginning of the season. They were both struggling with the bat. They had a miscommunication in the field, and this is all boiled over in the dugout. And that was their way of telling the media, just like back off. We're not telling you. Then you have Javi Baez come in and boo the fans. He said, "Well, they were booing us." It's like, well, that's what you signed up for, buddy. And him and Lindor had to apologize for that. I know once they fired Joey Davis in May, the players didn't like that, and they were kind of right because whoever the heck they brought in was even worse. So it was a tumultuous year for the Mets, and it was not all Rojas' fault. And he's not a bad guy by any means. He is a great guy. He is a good man. But it wasn't all him, but it was the right move. It was the right move to get rid of him, especially since there's going to be so much change going on. The front office is going to change, a lot of player movement. The entire coaching staff basically went besides the pitching coach Hefner. So, but it's not the worst hire in the world. I guess we'll see.
Aaron Boone sucks. So Jake, you just talked about how we're going to be talking about later about the front office, about like at the top in Queens. What if I told you we're going to talk about it right now?
It'll be a good segue.
Yeah. So Jake, let's start off with you here. Why are the Mets having such a difficult time finding a general manager?
Okay, so one of the main problems is Sandy Alderson. He is definitely an issue. All right, the guy, I don't know how old he is, but he looks like he's at least 90. The guy is old. The guy just can't do it anymore. He's very well respected around the game. He worked for Billy Beane for years and years and years. He was manager of the Mets for like 8 or 9 years. He was only at the organization for like a year or two until then Steve Cohen brought him back. A lot of the reason he left because he had health concerns, because he got canceled. He was diagnosed with cancer twice in like a year and a half, which was unfortunate. Thankfully, he was able to put the diagnosis in remission, and obviously he's still working in baseball. He's not handling the player operations. But I just think whoever's coming in, they're like, I don't want to report to him if he's not really capable of running a baseball team anymore. A lot of it is it's been a bit of a toxic workplace the last couple of years. Take a look at things. The previous manager before Luis Rojas right now is on administrative leave for like 2 years in MLB for belief sexual harassment, Mickey Callaway. They hired the GM right before 2020 started. Jared Porter was fired like a month or two later for sending explicit and inappropriate images to female employees. And the guy who replaced him, Zach Scott, was just fired in the aftermath of getting a DUI. Was passed up behind the wheel coming back from a party from the owner's house. And the manager in between Callaway and Rojas was Carlos Beltran, who never even got to manage a game because he was a big part of the Astros cheating scandal. So, also, Steve Cohen has not proven himself as an owner. He's been owner for 1 year, and the team won 77 games when they clearly were a much better team than that. So it's just the team itself has a lot of talent. But I just think since there's going to be a lot of changes, player movement, the toxic workplace that's gone the last couple of years, Cohen not being a proven name as an owner, and just people not wanting to report to Sandy. I think all of that is the reason that a lot of people don't want this job. I'm hearing that David Stern was probably their top candidate. His contract will end next year. They'll probably go after him next year. At this point, you might as well promote someone within the organization, which is not going to be what you would want. The two guys that I heard, I don't even remember their names. I don't think they're really ready, but they need to find someone, because remember, they still need a manager. They don't have a manager right now either. They got to find a coaching staff. You know, they got to bring in some more bats. You know, Marcus Stroman's a guy they should probably resign. They got to make some additions to their pitching. So they need somebody, but that's definitely the reason. Those are definitely, it's because of all those reasons. Like, I just named like 4 or 5 different concerns. I think that's definitely the reason that they're having a lot of trouble finding someone to run the baseball operations.
Well, it's getting late too here. I mean, the GM meetings are starting. The Mets don't have a representative there as a GM. A lot of transactions go down. A lot of networking with agents happens at the GM meetings down in Florida every single year. And the fact that the Mets haven't found a guy by now, I mean, there's got to be something that we don't know, because who wouldn't want to come to New York and fix this mess? I mean, you win in New York. There's nothing like winning in New York. And I mean, for me, if I was offered the job, if I'm David Stern, Theo Epstein wanted ownership. He wasn't going to get that. If I'm Billy Beane, I mean, I'd want to come here. I'd want to fix this. I'd want to win as a Met, because that would be so special, especially here in New York. So I really think there's something going on within the upper tier of the front office that we don't know about. We'll probably never know about it, but it's definitely getting late. The manager thing, all right, but they have to get a president in there immediately. And soon after, if it's not the same guy, they need to find a GM, because they have qualifying offers they've tendered. The CBA is going to be up December 1st. Who knows where free agency and player movement, and if there's going to be a lockout. You need your GM to be there to be able to plan for all those things. And right now they don't have that guy. So as soon as possible, even if it means sticking with Sandy Alderson for another year and going after Stern after 2022, that's fine. But a decision has to be made, because it's getting very, very late and things are about to get very, very messy with these CBA negotiations.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's a very good point, Dom. I'm hearing that there might be a lockout, and this might take a couple of months. You know,
I mean, they just hate each other. The players and the owners, they just absolutely, they cannot stand each other. There's no trust there. So would it surprise me if there's a lockout? No. Is it going to suck? Absolutely. I'm going to hate every single second of it. And we're probably not going to get any news about it, except for them jawing back and forth at each other for a couple months until they finally figure something out. But it's the reality of the situation. And that's why it makes it even more paramount that the Mets get a president and a GM in the building.
Yeah, and like the thing is, like when Colin came in here, he said, "I'm going to leave it to the professionals." Well, because he probably doesn't want to screw over his team and get involved. You see some of these owners like Jerry Jones, Jim Dolan, they get involved with their teams a lot, and a lot of times it doesn't work. It's like he's not really a baseball guy. I mean, the guy was a hedge fund manager. Like he doesn't have this baseball or sports background, so he needs some sort of baseball professional to run the operations, like to run the operations as well. He doesn't have really a baseball background, so that's another reason why it's important. I mean, I guess he could run for agency by himself, but if there's another contender out there that has a baseball guy in there, which is literally every other team in the league, because every other team is not in this situation, a player is probably going to want to go to that team, then sign up a team who's got a guy who doesn't even have any baseball knowledge, like running the team right
now. One question before we move on to our next topic. Jake, this one's for you as somebody who's such a strong Mets fan. I'd even consider you to be a Mets super fan. Are the Mets screwed?
Right now, I think they are. I think they are screwed. They do not have a GM. They don't have a president. They don't have a manager. The only guys who are really staying on the coaching staff is Jeremy Hefner, and this team is going to have a lot of player movement. They're going to have to, if they want to win, they're going to have to bring in 2 or 3 impact bats. They got to re-sign Marcus Stroman, especially if Syndergaard turns down his offer. They should probably make some additions to the bullpen as well. Probably bring back Aaron Loop, maybe add another impact guy or 2 over there. So right now they are a little bit screwed, at least for next year. So I think they could clean it up by like 2023. Yeah, but this is a team that is ready to win now. And if they have a chance to win a World Series now, they can't, take the year off because, we're having a little bit of trouble finding a guy to run the baseball operations who they need, to find a manager and to find players.
You know what, Jake? While you're doing that, you could always do what Philly has been doing for years. Trust the process. All right. All right. Anyway, let's move on to the NBA, to where we're talking about, and with this, I'm talking about the Markieff Morris fight with Nikola Jokic. Now, let me explain what happened for people that didn't see this. This happened on Monday. It was in the fourth quarter. Bam Adebayo tried to go for a shot. It looked like he got fouled on it, but the refs didn't call it. It was the foul was clearly on Jokic. Markieff Morris was pissed off. So what he does is he basically runs up to Jokic while Jokic is dribbling the ball and hip checks him. And it wasn't this like heavy hip check. He just walked up and bumped into him. Now, and what happened was after that was Jokic, while Markieff Morris wasn't really looking, he just runs up to him and freaking shoulder charges him. All the way, and Markieff Morris goes flying, and then Jimmy Butler steps in, tries to, get into the middle of it, and, technicals, ejections are thrown. So simply at this point, the final verdict is Jimmy Butler was fined 30 grand. Markieff Morris was fined 50 grand with a flagrant 2. And Jokic was suspended for a game, and both Morris and Jokic were suspended for the rest of that game as well. So about this, did you guys think the punishments were warranted for this kind of situation?
I mean, I'm always going to err on the side of just let cooler heads prevail. And look, fights are going to happen. These guys are competing. I mean, it's easy to lose your cool, especially like that. And I mean, should Jokic have pushed Morris like that? No, probably not. But I mean, I come from a hockey background. I mean, that stuff happens. I mean, you want to toss him for the rest of the game, fine. I think that's okay. But anything beyond that, I think, is a little bit extra. I mean, because these guys they're professional athletes. They are fiery competitors. This stuff is going to happen. And it was taken care of on the court. They were escorted off the court, and that should be the end of it. Anything else handed down after that, I don't think is necessary.
Yeah, I agree with Joker getting one game because that was a hard hip check. The guy's back was turned and he hit him really hard, and he was down for a couple minutes too. Morris, I agreed with him getting a game. I would have liked to see Morris get a game just because he did start it, and he did bump into him, which was completely unnecessary. If he doesn't do that, I can't imagine Jokic would have just shoved him. So that's the only problem I really had about. I would have also suspended Markieff Morris for a game, but I'm not going to go out and say I think Jokic was too aggressive and he should have gotten 5 games. I just would have given both guys a game each. I thought Markieff Morris should have got suspended as well.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, Jake. If you're suspending Jokic, then Morris needs to get it too. It can't just be Jokic just because he retaliated. Because look, Jokic got upset at something that Morris did, and whether you want to argue clean, dirty, I mean, you could argue about that all day. But if you were going to give Jokic a game, you should have given Morris a game too, or you give neither of them a game, or you just slap him on the wrist and say, "Hey, $2,000 fine," and that be the end of it. But you make it a conversation. You make it more of an issue when you only suspend Jokic, because now we're talking about it, right? So if they wanted this to just go away and they just wanted to take care of it, and people on Jokic's side obviously are going to be frustrated, you should have just given them both games or not given either of them games. But you know what? That's not what the NBA decided to do. We can't control that. But that's what I would have done. Either they both get a game or just leave it at that. They get tossed, and that's the end of it.
All right. So what I think is, I think the only reason why Jokic got suspended and Morris didn't was because of the movement on Morris's part after he got hit. Because if you look at the clip, when Morris did the cheap shot onto Jokic, he barely moved. When Jokic did to him, he went flying. So I think that's kind of why he got more. I personally think both of them should have been suspended because they were both equally cheap shots, both of which with very high intention. But I don't think anything more. I don't think fines were involved. Looking at the fight, I really did not think Jimmy Butler deserved to be fined $30,000. Because according to the NBA, he was fined for attempting to escalate the altercation and failing to comply with an NBA security interview as part of the review process pertaining to an on-court matter. I mean,
let me look at this again. I didn't know they fined Jimmy Butler.
They did find Jim. Yeah, they did find Jimmy Butler. I just didn't understand why. I saw the clip and it was just kind of him kind of like lightly pushing Jokic away from Markieff. But aside from that, it really did not warrant a fine at all.
Oh my God, that's nothing.
Yeah, it really was not. It was not anything. No,
that's weak.
It is. It's a weak amount to pay for. And if you guys have watched him enough, I really like Jimmy Butler. So. But in this case, it's like it's just obvious that just wasn't deserved. I definitely feel that Markieff Morris and Jokic deserved a punishment, but not Jimmy Butler for just stepping in the middle, because that's pretty much all he did.
$30,000 for that. I'm sorry, Justin. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, as you were saying, Dom, $30,000 for just basically stepping into the middle of a fight that could have gone really bad had he not done that. Because it could have gone worse. I know Markieff Morris enough to know that fight could have gone freaking brutal. I call this guy Mark Ejection Morris for a reason, because for some reason he's always getting into fights. That's the thing. He just wants to get ejected all the time. All right, now let's move on to this topic here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's trust the process here with a nice little rumor about, we don't do rumors often here on this podcast, but this is a big one. Apparently, Ben Simmons might be getting traded to the Celtics for Jaylen Brown. I might go off here, but before I do, I need somebody else to tell me what they think about this trade that obviously is a rumor, but could potentially be real.
All right. I'll make this quick because this Ben Simmons saga has just, talk about your all-time backfires. But if the Celtics are willing to trade Jaylen Brown for Ben Simmons, that must show you how much toxicity and really the issues within that Boston Celtic locker room that they have to get somebody out of there. And to be getting back Ben Simmons, a broken player, a not clutch player, a guy who's beefing with his own teammates in Philadelphia, beefing with the fans, the guys, they're running him out of there. And you want to bring him into this Celtic culture? I don't know, man. It's not a trade I would make. I don't think I would trade 3 basketballs for Ben Simmons right now. For them to be trading Jaylen Brown, I think it says more about the situation the Celtics are in than anything.
Okay. Ben Simmons is just, I don't know what his purpose is on this planet anymore. Okay, the guy is absolutely terrible. He has no offensive game whatsoever. In today's NBA, you just can't be in the NBA. If there's a team that could use him, I guess Boston could use his defense. But you're not giving up Jaylen Brown, who's a very good player for him. Daryl Morey needs to get through his thick skull. You're not getting a star player for him. If you're going to move to Portland, you're not getting CJ McCollum back. If you're moving him to Boston, you're not gonna get back whoever the heck if you're not gonna get back a good player. You're not gonna get Jaylen Brown back from the Boston Celtics. If you move him to the Clippers, you're not gonna get back Kawhi. So, like, teams to realize he's going to probably get back. I don't think he even gets back a first-round pick. He'll get back maybe a decent player or two and the second rounder. But I'm asking for Marcus Smart, maybe another quality player, and the second-round pick.
All right, Ben Simmons. If this trade goes through about, Ben Simmons with Jaylen Brown, I am going to say that Brad Stevens is worse than Danny Ainge ever was as a GM. If that trade goes through, what they're basically telling me is Jaylen Brown's worth to the Celtics is a point guard who can't shoot, who can't shoot anything more than 2 feet away from the basket. Why are people still searching for this guy? Just you know what? Go to the G League, please. Just leave the league. Because the problem is I don't think he makes a team better. He ruins it. I cannot think of a team except for maybe like the Timberwolves that could actually do something with him that would make somewhat of an impact, because he is a decent defender, and maybe having him on the Timberwolves would be okay, because Karl-Anthony Towns doesn't know what defense means as a center. But Ben Simmons is a joke. It really is. But I will be more than happy to say that I'm officially trusting the process now, because they're really getting me going with this whole Ben Simmons fiasco. And by the way, Jake, if you can confirm this to me, how long is the Daryl Morey Ben Simmons altercation supposed to take? 4 years?
Daryl Morey said this could take 4 years because the guy's so naive. He's in another dimension of his own right now. He's not going to take less than a star player back for him, but no one's giving up a star player for this dude.
No, because he's not worth a star player. That's the thing. I would say that he's worth a bench player. That is that, and it's that far. I don't even think he's worth a first round draft pick, to be honest with you, because he's just so damn bad. And as for Daryl Morey, staying in this altercation with Ben Simmons for 4 years, it's like, just cut him at that point, please. I don't know what they're waiting for. Why are you wasting your money on this guy? You are single-handedly losing money because Ben Simmons is not playing. That's all I have to say for it. Screw you, Daryl Morey, and screw you, Brad Stevens. If you're gonna trade if you're gonna trade Jaylen Brown for him, really, that's an insult to Jaylen Brown. I'm just saying.
Well, we know how Justin feels about it. One more thing about that. If you're Daryl Morey, I mean, I don't even know why you're trying to. This is the worst possible time to trade this guy right now. His value was at an all-time low, literally, for like any player. I mean, like you said, what is he worth right now? At least maybe if he can stay on the court, you can build up some value and then trade him. But if you're trading him right now, he's nuts if he thinks that Ben Simmons is worth a first-round pick. Do you trade a second-round pick for Ben Simmons? I mean, probably to take a flyer on him, but like, I'm not trading a starting NBA player for Ben Simmons. Not a chance.
Especially because of how much money he's owed. The guy makes like $35 million a year. I'm not going to give up a starting player and another draft pick for him. I'll give up maybe a bench player or two and the 2 for him, but nothing more. Just Daryl Morey is delusional.
Yeah, absolutely. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, trust the process. I've been trusting it since Allen Iverson left the team. But once again, to no avail. But someday, someday they'll figure it out. Anyway, let's move on to the NFL. So we're actually going to go off the topic list here for a second because we have some breaking news. Odell Beckham Jr. has just signed a 1-year deal with the Los Angeles Rams. Dom, I know that last week we talked about Von Miller going to the Rams as well, and that makes them a Super Bowl contender potentially. But Dom, where do you think this puts the Rams now? Do you think it makes them an even larger chance of being a Super Bowl contender, or do you think or do you think they're just still a playoff contender?
Well, I think they were a superstar. I think they were a Super Bowl contender before the Odell Beckham was even released. I mean, with the addition of Von Miller, the way Matthew Stafford's playing, I know they didn't play well on Sunday night against Tennessee, but they are without a doubt Super Bowl contenders. And honestly, for me, Odell Beckham Jr., big name, doesn't move the needle for me that much. I mean, since he's gone to the Browns, he hasn't done anything. And I mean, I may be biased because I'm a Giants fan, and look, it didn't go well for him here. But since he left New York, I mean, this guy's kind of been a ghost in Cleveland. And they don't run the type of offense that would highlight an Odell Beckham Jr. And maybe going to LA and being in Sean McVay's offense is going to help him, put some more highlights on the board, put up some yards, put up some numbers. But are you throwing to Odell Beckham Jr. before you throw to Cooper Kupp? I don't think you are. I mean, he's looking to be the number one guy. He was the number one guy in Cleveland, wasn't getting targets. He's coming to LA. He's not going to be the number one guy here either. So if he buys in and he's willing to do whatever he can to help this Los Angeles Rams team win the Super Bowl, then it's a no-brainer. But if he's just going to cause problems because he's not getting the ball, honestly, he's a bigger headache than he's worth. And I don't have the figures yet. I don't know. Is he making league veteran minimum? Is that what it's for?
Not sure, but most likely.
I mean, I guess it's worth it because really, if he creates a headache, you just cut him. But does this improve the Rams in a crazy way? No, I don't think it does. I think he's insurance if somebody gets hurt, essentially, for me.
Yeah, the guy, honestly, ever since his second season in the league, the guy's been terrible. He's not been that good. His first 2 years, he was absolutely incredible. He was an incredible player the first 2 years. His last 3 years with the Giants, he was, good, not great, and was always injured. He goes to Cleveland, and the guy was not good. His first year, he got 70 catches for maybe 1,000 yards and 4 touchdowns. That for a guy making $19 million a year, that's not enough. Last year, he got injured. This year, he's been horrible, and he's a cancer in the locker room. Baker Mayfield is significantly better without Odell Beckham. His rookie year, he threw 27 touchdowns. That was a record for a rookie until Justin Herbert last year. They bring Odell Beckham. Baker was absolutely terrible. First half of the season last year, Baker was struggling. People were saying, we got to get this guy out of here. He's holding the Browns back. OBJ gets hurt, and Baker's a whole nother quarterback. The first game without him, last week, they had a tumultuous week playing a pretty good Bengals team. Baker went off. They dropped 41 on the Bengals. They won by 30. The guy, I know that is a run-first team, and rightfully so. They have Nick Chubb's a beast. Kareem Hunt's a great player. Dearness Johnson, when he stepped in, had a big game. But for a guy who you're paying $19 million, top 5 highest paid at his position, a guy that you're hoping can give you 100 catches, 1,500 yards, and 10 touchdowns, it shouldn't matter if that team is a run-first team or a fit. Guys like that, they should be able to fit everywhere. And Odell Beckham clearly does not, so he's clearly just a guy who had a short prime, and now that prime is over. If you're asking me, he's the 3rd best wide receiver on the Rams team behind Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. So unless he's fine with getting, maybe 4 or 5 catches a game for the rest of the season, and then for the rest of his career, he'll be like a 2nd or 3rd wide receiver at best. I don't think this completely pushes the Rams over the top when you're comparing them to teams like Arizona, who's got, I think, the same record, who's a game better than them, and they're in the same division as. Got Green Bay is right there. Tampa Bay is right there. Dallas is pretty close up there. So I don't think this puts them above and beyond to the Cardinals and the Packers by bringing Odell Beckham Jr. either.
Yeah, I wouldn't really say this move is like that big of a deal for the Rams. The main reason why I think this is a big deal is because I thought because yes, Odell Beckham Jr. is a toxic figure in the league nowadays. He's just not a good guy. However, his dad kind of screwed him over on the Browns. That was his dad, not him. And I thought and I thought this was really Odell's last chance to make something happen for himself and bring people back like the same faith they had from when he was on the Giants, in his first 2 years, like you said, being an excellent wide receiver. But but you're right, he just cannot make it happen. Do I think this brings a lot to the Rams? No. If all else fails, I guess it gives you a little bit like one more person to throw the ball to a little bit. But as you said, Dom, I would never throw it. I would never throw to Odell if Cooper Kupp is wide open. But if the defense does block Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham isn't necessarily a bad person to throw it to either. He's not the best, but I think, but I feel like it's just necessary to have one extra person for Stafford to throw it to, and that's really all I think he brings it to. And I'm just mostly surprised that he's still in the league because I thought that stunt that his father pulled just made his career just freaking over.
Well, it was the straw that broke the camel's back in Cleveland. Definitely the father stuff. Look, going to LA, offensive genius Sean McVay, they're not going to be able to double him because they have to double Cooper Kupp. So maybe this does provide a spark for Odell Beckham Jr., who's averaging 38 yards per game this year, which is not awful. That's a 2 to 3, right? And if he's comfortable being a 2 to 3, if they're going to double Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham one-on-one, is he still talented enough where he's going to win most of those matchups? Yeah, he is. He couldn't be the number one in Cleveland. He couldn't do it. Couldn't handle it. 17 catches for 32 yards in 6 games. Not cutting it as a number one. But as a number 2, is it possible that he can complement Cooper Kupp? That he can complement Matthew Stafford? He can complement Robert Woods? Yes, absolutely. But is it this huge, bombshell signing for the Rams? No. Can it help if he acts right, if he buys in? It can help, yes, but it's not sending them over the top. And like you guys said, the Cardinals are awesome. Cowboys are finally seems like they're getting their stuff together. The Packers are always around. So no, it doesn't put them far ahead of anybody.
All right, let's move on to the next topic. Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers has tested positive for COVID. And it came out to where he pretty much lied about getting vaccinated. Apparently he just did not get vaccinated at all. He got COVID-19 and now he's out. So Jake, I know how much you dislike Aaron Rodgers. So let's start off with you about this. What do you think about this whole situation?
Aaron Rodgers is a complete coward. He's a liar and a coward, okay? So back in August or whatever.
That's very nice of you.
They asked Aaron Rodgers, did you get the vaccine? His response was, yes, I am immunized. And they went on saying, I know they may or may not make it mandatory. If some guys don't want to get it, I'm not going to judge them. It almost sounded like he says, yeah, I get my shots, but I'm not getting vaccinated. But I'm too much of a coward to tell the media because I don't want to get bashed for it because I'm so soft and I'm Karen Rodgers. So this is what I'm gonna say. So what he did, he got like whatever procedure he had done to raise his antibody levels, which I do think legitimately protects you against COVID, but does not mean but it's not as effective as the vaccine, which still is not protecting you 100%. So obviously he can still get it, and he did. And then because he wasn't vaccinated, he had to wait longer to be cleared than someone who is vaccinated. So obviously he was unable to play last week, and he's not. I don't think he's even. I think he may not play this week either. He probably will, but he might not. So the guy lied. He straight up lied. He'll say he doesn't lie. He went on the Pat McAfee show, had this long conversation saying I didn't lie. Some of what he said was true. He said some funny stuff on that show, saying, I don't care about politics. I don't care if, the one side, the other side does. I'm not going on Fox News or whatever. That was pretty funny when he said that. At the same time, dude, you lied. Just get over it, okay? You lied. You're not vaccinated. You said you were, and you're not, okay? I had more problem with him lying than after the vaccine. I don't agree with him not being vaccinated. I do believe people should get vaccinated. That is still his choice. I respect him for his choice to not get vaccinated, but don't lie about it. Don't lie about it, especially don't lie about it. And then when asked, why did you lie? Say, oh, no, I didn't lie about it. Dude, we all know you lied. Just tell us why. The guy's a liar.
I don't like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers irritates me. Quite frankly, to keep it PG, I think he's a D-bag. I'm not going to lie. I don't like Aaron Rodgers. He's cocky. With that being said, are you vaccinated or are you not vaccinated? I completely agree with Jake. And it's a failure on the media to when he said, oh, yes, I'm immunized. Blah, blah, blah. Are you vaccinated or are you not vaccinated? It's that simple. And he wasn't. And he put his team at risk. He put a lot of guys in the media and guys in that locker room at risk. And he lied about it. And it just goes into the D nozzle that Aaron Rodgers is, that he is. I hate the guy. Can't stand him. Got to cut his stupid hair. His hair looks terrible. Aaron, if you're listening to this, if somehow this gets to you, cut your freaking hair because it looks awful. And now, if he came down with this broke when on Saturday, so he has to be out 10 days. Forgive me, I'm not the brightest. My math says on Saturday that'll only be 7 days.
It happened last week. He didn't play last week. I'm not sure if he'll be available yet. But the guy, like you said, he pretty much screwed himself. He might not play again this weekend, especially for a team at the championship contender in Green Bay. He's screwing his team.
Yeah, no, it's not good. And I mean, there's really no excuse for it. I mean, whether you're on the side of getting the vaccine or not, everybody, we need to be honest with each other. So let's say if you're not going to be vaccinated, I can protect myself. I can protect myself. You know what I'm saying? He thinks he's above the world. And because he's Aaron Rodgers, they let him get away with it. Cam Newton wasn't vaccinated. All the stories, Cam Newton doesn't care. Cam Newton is a bad guy for not getting the vaccine. They let Aaron Rodgers walk all over them, and I hate it. And I don't know why. Somebody needs to punch this guy in the face. And I may be getting off the rails here, but hot take. Here's a hot take for you. I would fight Aaron Rodgers if I saw him. I would fight him, and I'll leave it at that.
I will join you.
There we go, Jake. We'll get him if he ever comes on this campus. I'll call you up and we'll go get him.
John Wick got sick, boys. John Wick got sick. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, he'll never hold a candle to John Wick.
Never. No, he was John Wick for Halloween. All right, my opinion on this is quite simple. I feel bad that he got COVID because I don't think anybody deserves COVID. I wouldn't wish COVID on my worst enemies. I really wouldn't. It's just such a terrible disease. It really is. But my issue is that he got COVID. It's that he lied about getting vaccinated. And the thing was, everybody's ripping on Kyrie. Oh, Kyrie Irving needs to get vaccinated. He's screwed up the team. At least he told the truth. Because as you guys said, I would rather hear him say I didn't get vaccinated than him lie about it and then say I spoke to Joe Rogan. Like that's the pinnacle of people to talk to.
Joe Rogan's not a scientist.
Yeah, exactly. He's a freaking idiot, Joe Rogan. I mean, I mean, I'm not really sure. It makes zero sense. It's like I didn't get vaccinated because Joe Rogan told me it's fine, so therefore it must be. It's like Joe Rogan is the next god to Aaron Rodgers to where he does it. To where it's like whatever Joe Rogan tells me to do, I'll do it.
Yeah, and he said he worked with medical professionals on this. What medical professional? Dr. Phil?
Doc,
What doctor did you work with?
Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan.
Dr. Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan had no doctor. He's a crazy UFC fighter analyst. Dude, what are you doing with your life? Can you just leave? Like, go do something else. Go get married to somebody else again. Like, enough of this dude.
All right. Yeah, so I guess that's it for Aaron Rodgers today. Well, plenty of that probably next week if he does another thing that's stupid.
I mean, I'll give it to Aaron Rodgers anytime. Anytime you want, I'll
Yeah,
come
I'll
on
give
here
it
and I'll
Aaron
bash him.
Rodgers. All right. You know what? We'll maybe do that next week. All right, let's make this topic real quick because we have a bigger topic to talk about next. The Jets got absolutely destroyed by the Colts. They lost to Carson Wentz. All right, Jake, let's start off with you. Whose fault is it? Is it Mike LaFleur's fault, or is it some external factor like Mike White getting injured?
I thought it was more so Mike White getting injured. You know, he was laying it out like we talked about earlier. And Josh Johnson, kudos to him, the 35-year-old journeyman, came in and played well. He threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game. I really thought the defense did a really bad job. I mean, they gave up 45 points to Carson Wentz. And they could not stop the run. This is a team that in recent years has been very good against the run. It's been one of their strengths and what's been a disastrous organization, we're really for the beginning of time, but this last decade has been especially bad. And the run defense has been very good. Even when they've not had good defense, has not been a good unit. Last year they were like bottom 5 in the league, and their run defense is still an average unit. So, I mean, John Platera is a great player, but 170 yards and 2 touchdowns, like that just can't happen. And you're letting Carson, you're not getting any pressure. I mean, I think they lost 45-30, and they scored 30 points with most of the time they had their 4th, 5th string quarterback in. They were still able to put up 30 points for a team that the beginning of the season was didn't score in the first quarter till like 2 weeks ago, and we're 8-9 games in now. So I thought LaFleur the last couple of games just called a little bit of a better game. Still his tenure so far has not been good. Hopefully now he can maybe he made some adjustments. Maybe when Zach Wilson comes back, looks like that'll end up being next week in week 11. Because now you have Mike White driving the offense, Josh Johnson driving the offense. So hopefully, now Zach Wilson will start to play a little better once he comes back. He'll be healthy. But I thought this game was more on the injuries and just the defense being incapable.
I'd agree with that. I know we want to stay quick, so with this, the Jets defense couldn't stop a nosebleed, and you knew they were in trouble as soon as the Colts were running the ball all over the field on them. I do think they could have played with them. They could have hung with them if Mike White didn't get hurt, because it did take Josh Johnson a little bit of time to get his rhythm. But with a run defense like that, you're not winning any games. So even before the Mike White injury, I would put it on Rob Saleh. You got to find a way to stop the run.
Yeah. In any other time, I'd say that Mike LaFleur threw this game, but it really wasn't him. I think if Mike White was still in the game, I think they would have won. Based off the injury, I don't think Mike White really got that injured, so it wouldn't surprise me if he had to be out for another game or two, and then he'll come back. Because at this point, I know it's only one win, but Mike White played really well in his first win, and I'm sold on him. I really am. But they got to play better defense. I was a bit disappointed in the defense of the Jets this season, because I thought that Robert Saleh, who's been known and respected on the 49ers for his defense, for his role as defensive coordinator, I would have thought he would have kind of helped build this defense a bit more. But it's all right. I mean, the Jets are still in a rebuild, and let's see how they do next week. Anyway, this is the topic I really want to talk about. This is like the main event here because this is a big deal. Well, the alarm thing was a very big deal as well, but this is another big, big deal. Allow me to give some history with Justin Alter from Jake and Justin in the Morning. On Sunday, there was the Bears-Steelers game. And closer to the end of that game, the lineman Cassius Marsh sacked Ben Roethlisberger. And Marsh's reaction to this was, he kind of stared down the Steelers sideline, and then while he was running back to his position, it seemed like it looked like he accidentally or inadvertently in some way hip checked the ref Tony the referee Tony Corrent. This is according to insider.com, that was his name. And then after that, Tony Corrent threw a taunting flag, and that sack was basically it was erased. Yeah, that's according to Insider. The sack was erased. So Dom, our esteemed guest, what do you feel about this call? Because this is just ridiculous now.
Esteemed, thank you. Yeah, really quick. Aaron Judge won his second Silver Slugger. That just came out. So congratulations, AJ. Getting back to, yes, nice little clap. Getting back to this. This was an absolute joke. I mean, if you wanted to take one play and show it to someone and say this is the thing that's wrong with officiating, you would show them that play. I mean, he goes over to the sideline. He's flexing, whatever. He didn't even cross the hash marks. Tony Correnti hasn't thrown a flag at this point, and he's watching him. He turns his back to him. He was itching to throw a flag, because as soon as he felt a little bump, and he took that flag and he threw it 50 feet in the air, like he was itching to throw that flag, and it cost the Bears the game. Honestly, it cost the Bears the game, and it's such a joke. First of all, these taunting penalties are not going to get better. They're not going to stop calling them. Perry Fuel, the director of officiating for the NFL, former Giants defensive coordinator, said that these penalties aren't going away, so adapt or die, which is fine. If you want to penalize somebody for stomping over somebody or getting in their face while they're down, like, okay, fine, that's a taunt. But to flex at the sideline and for you not to throw the flag, then you get mad because you bumped into me and you're going to throw a taunting penalty on me and cost the Bears the game. It's an absolute joke. And it's not just the NFL. It's the NHL. It's Major League Baseball. The officiating in all these leagues this year has been disgraceful, and it needs to be fixed. Tony Correnti needs to talk to the media. These referees need to have media ability. Why did you throw that flag? I mean, he needs to be called on the carpet for this because this was an absolute joke.
I totally agree. That was absolutely egregious. The guy sacks. He looked at the Steelers bench for like a minute, not like 20 seconds. He looked at their bench. No flag, nothing. The referee looked like he bumped into Cassius Marsh. It looked like he started the contact. I do not think it was on purpose. He probably just was taking a step backwards, just took a step, and he didn't see Cassius Marsh and he just bumps. I mean, clearly he didn't care. I mean, Marsh didn't say anything. The referee didn't care. He's not going to be soft, and he's not going to be super soft like that. But absolutely terrible. He's 20 pounds of out of control. He stared at the sideline for 20 seconds. That's not a taunting penalty, guys. Get it together. That was terrible.
Oh God, this is just terrible. It really is. It's the fall right now. I can't believe I'm already seeing snowflakes. That's what these refs are, and this is exactly why the NFL is going to shit. I'm sorry to say it. Got to keep PG, I know, but that's the fact. but that is the facts of it. These ticky-tacky flags for staring at the sideline and then accidentally lightly grazing the ref is warranted for a taunting flag, a game-changing taunting flag. I feel that these refs need to be investigated. They just have to be, because there's something wrong with them. There really is. There is something incredibly wrong with them. Anyway, it's time for, we already talked about something that we hate to see, but that's not part of our segment. You hate to see it. All right, Dom. So as the first time being a guest on here, here's what we do. We show some clips, or we talk about some things that were just ridiculous, and then you rate from 1 to 10 how much you hate to see it. 1, you don't really hate to see it. 10, you really hate to see it. You can go over 10 like I do half the time.
All right. I like it.
All right, Jake, get us started, bro.
All right, so James Harden, I think, forgot the whole thing. Like in basketball, when there's a ball rolling, you're supposed to pick up the ball. I think he forgot the whole I'm supposed to actually grab the ball part, because this is what happened. So, and it's coming. I think it's let me load. Let me rewind. So he's dribbling. He's they're gonna get defense by the Thunder. He's about to lose control of the ball right there. And watch this. And he just stops. Look at this. He was running over to it to grab this ball, and he just decides to just not grab it. What are you doing? Dom, how much do you hate to see that?
Look, it looks like the score is 67-55, right? Am I seeing that right? If this was a closer game, that's 10 out of 10 stupidity. I'll give it a 7. I'll cut them some slack because they are up by 12. But you definitely hate to see that. I mean, James Harden, what are you doing, man? And pick up the ball. Pick up the basketball. You're playing basketball, man. This isn't soccer.
Justin, while you go through the 7 stages of grief, how much do you hate to see it?
I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Somebody clearly unplugged the 2K controller in his brain when that happened, and he just started, running, or he just lagged somehow, in the middle of it. Yeah, because the only reason why it's not a 10 is because it's still they're still winning, but you need to play smart in that, especially because you're an NBA superstar. And this isn't soccer, it's basketball. So yeah, 9 out of 10.
I'll give it a 10 out of 10. This lazy moron. What are you doing, James Harden? You get paid $4 million a year. Pick up the darn basketball. All right, so the Oilers-Red Wings game. The goalie for the Oilers, he had some problems playing hockey. I just gotta find it. Is not sure if this is it. This is not it. I think it's coming up. Here. So we got a save there. It's kept in over here by the Red Wings. So then, all right, it's put in, and watch this pass. He passed it off the boards, literally into his own net. Let me show this again. So this very, very not smart Oilers goalie. Not smart. This not smart individual.
That Koskinen, I think that's.
I think it is. He tries to pass around the boards. Smith. He passes it off the boards right back to him, right to the Red Wings player, just easily taps it in. Dom Hempstead, I hate to see that. Oh my word.
In the words of my good friend who I listen to all the time, Steve Dangle, your job title is goaltender. Tend the goal. I mean, how many times do we have to see goalies learn and make this mistake and learn this lesson? Tend the freaking goal. Stay in the goal. You have two defensemen back there that can go get that puck. What are you doing? Stay in front of the net and tend the freaking goal. You're the goalie. We don't need you to handle the puck. You're all terrible at it. That's why you decided to play goalie. Let the defenseman get the puck. Guys, you wouldn't believe how often that this happens. This happens all the time. These goalies get confident. They think they're Martin Brodeur and they're Ron Hextall back there, and they try to sling it around the boards and it ends up in the back of their own net. 15 out of 10 for the stupidity of it. And the fact that they keep it. You could look up a million of these, Jake. I mean, it happens all the time. These goalies, they never learn their lesson. Tend the goal.
Justin?
93 out of 10. I hate to say it. But Dom just could not have said it better. I have no words. 93 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Professional goalie can't swing it around the boards to 83. Like, what are you doing? What are you playing, like, pass with the boards right behind you? No, you're not doing that. That was from when you were 10 years old. You were playing in Pee Wee hockey. No. 10 out of 10, dude. What are you doing with your life? All right, Joel Embiid got a little frustrated. So he goes in for a layup. And oh my goodness, he almost accidentally punched Lonzo in the face.
Oh, it looked like he clocked him.
I'm not sure if he actually made contact, but watch this.
If he didn't hit him, why is he getting a tech? All right, Joel's got the ball. He's driving. Law loses it. Oh.
Dom, how much you hate to see him almost punching this poor man in the face? Oh my goodness.
That's a 10 out of 10, especially because you got a tech. I mean, control yourself, dude. You lost the ball. Come on. You're a professional. If I'm the coach and I'm giving up foul shots for that, I mean, Joel Embiid's going to be sitting his ass on the bench for at least 10 minutes. It can't happen. And again, the game's not close, so if it was closer, I guess it'd be a bigger deal. But still, 10 out of 10. Can't turn around. I mean, control your body, man. You got to control your stick in hockey. Control your body in basketball.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. I guess I guess Joel Embiid wanted to play some Mike Tyson punch out in real life. With that kind of swing right there, because that was a nice, perfect swing. That could have gotten you a few points if that connected in the ring, but not in basketball. Wait. 99 out of 10. I hate to say it. Yeah, there we go.
10 out of 10. You hate to see it. I mean, Joel Embiid. If you want to go box, I mean, every other non-boxer athlete is boxing now. Go ahead and do it, but don't do it on the basketball court. Okay, the basketball court is meant for playing basketball. I don't go to the baseball field and bring my hockey stick and try to practice slap shots. Like, no, it's not what it's meant for. 10 out of 10, dude. Remember what sport you're playing.
It's a good point by you. All these guys are trying to become boxers. I like that. I hate to see it. That's a good segment you guys came up with there. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we got less than a minute. Justin, who's your referee of the week? Go.
Ricky Rubio for having a kick-ass Cavs game. Monster game, 37 points, 8 of 8 from 3. Dom, who's your athlete of the week?
All right, I haven't gotten to talk on a podcast since this happened. Atlanta Braves, all of you, my athletes of the week. Congratulations winning the World Series. Justin and Jake, thank you for having me. I had a blast. Definitely come back. Ask me anytime. We'll come back on. Thank you guys again. And Jake, what about you?
My athlete of the week, it is the Jacksonville Jaguars for finally winning a game in the United States for the first time since week 1 of 2019.